Hello everybody, my name's Dio and welcome to the main street here in our cyber city that we're building in the end dimension. Where in the previous episode, we've been taking some of the items that we've been farming and running them through some systems that we built in last episode that helped us produce a bunch of dyes that we will need in some future builds. But in today's episode, we're going to be building something in this shop right over here that will allow us to turn some basic logs into diamond blocks. But might I add that that factory also has a little side benefit. We'll be able to turn some of that charcoal into black dye, which we can also then turn into grey dye using some of the white dye we've already produced, thus filling 2 more slots with dyes that we did not produce in the previous episode. So diamond production, we need to jump right into it, and there's quite a few steps that we need to do to achieve that. And to see what we need to do, we'll be hopping into our temporary little secret planning area. Whoops. So this is where we planned our dyes the previous episode, and we've already got a little board set up here, and we can start filling in the processes of what we're going to need to do to get to the final stage, that is diamond. So let me grab a bunch of blocks, shove them into my inventory, and then we can walk through the planning of diamonds. Okay, so I noticed we're going to need a bigger wall than that, so we're going to jump to this wall. So first of all, this whole process will be starting with logs, and we can basically use any log. And as you guys know, we've got a big old tree farm right on the other side of this wall. If we just pop on through, we've got this tree farm running, and we have another one within the mountain over here. So logs are not a problem. So we can take some of those logs, and then we can cook it with an encased fan running through lava to burn them, and that will produce charcoal. And once we have charcoal, we can branch into a different step over here, which we'll get to just now. But from here on, we can then take that charcoal and compact it, and that will give us coal. And in the coal, we can go ahead and compact again, and that will give us a block of charcoal. And that block of charcoal, we can once again compact, and that will give us none other than diamonds. So it's quite a long line and a lot of compacting to get to 1 diamond. But we can also rest assured that we're not going to need a ton of diamonds. So if we do a single draw of 2048 diamonds, I think we should be fine. But then the added bonus is we can go from charcoal and we can follow another step. So this step up here, I need to mention, we can also take from here, and that will involve milling these 2 items. Because you see, when you mill these items, either one of the 2, they will give you black dye. There is a slight catch where if we mill coal itself, it will give us a total of 2 black dye and 10% chance of getting 2 grey dye, I do believe. But it requires 4 charcoal to produce a single coal. So thus in theory, 4 charcoal will only give us 2 black dye. But if we go from charcoal and we mill those and into dye, it only requires 1 charcoal to give us 1 black dye. So for every 4 charcoal we use, we will get 4 black dye, or we can use 4 charcoal to turn into coal and only get 2 black dye. So I hope that makes sense. It was quite a mouthful, but in short, it's more efficient in my opinion to make black dye out of charcoal rather than coal itself. So with that said, we can go ahead and we can remove this step. So now we're sorted on that. We made some black dye, and that is perfect. But we can take this 1 step further, because we do produce a small amount of grey dye in this process, and note it's only a 10% chance. So what we can do is we can take this black dye, craft it with some white dye, and that will give us grey dye, solving not just black dye but also the grey dye problem. I know we're going to have to craft a lot more white dye, but for that we've got the bone farm, and that's been running non-stop. So we can just link that into the system, add a little system into this thing that mills down bones to give us white dye, which we can use in this crafting system, but also to replenish the dye from the dye shop. So it's quite a lot that we have to get done, and I suggest we, get everything ready and start to plan out what we're going to do where, so we can start producing some diamonds and dyes. So like mentioned, this will be the factory for the diamonds, and all the byproducts we'll just send right next door. But let's get to some planning. So we've got a whole lot more space in the front area and a lot less at the back. So what I'm thinking, before we start anything, I do think we need to maybe put in a floor here, and I'm thinking we should rather go for like an open floor, and then we can also have a little walkway joining up these two. So I'm thinking that might work really well, because now we can come up on this side or walk up and end up on that side, and then we can turn and walk over there, and maybe we can just do stairs. No, that's wrong. Just grab our wrench in this area like so. No, that's wrong again. Making a lot of mistakes. But something like this. So you run up, and then over here we've got one production, and I'm going to explain what we're going to do in this area just now, but then we can just also maybe do something like this that allows us to get onto this level over here. But again, I'm thinking we should maybe do a double lane. Okay, we'll plan that just now. But the idea for this wall is something very simple, something we don't need a lot of space for, and I'm thinking this is where we'll turn our logs into charcoal, because we only need a one wide. We can do a bunch of fans in the roof with some lava on top, or even lava at the bottom. I'll just figure that out. We can have our fans blow across or from the top downwards, and the items will slowly move over to this side where they'll get picked up into the system, where they'll go into a little charcoal storage, and from the charcoal storage it will go to this point. Now this point is a point where we have quite a bunch of compacting to get done. So if we grab our basins, we're going to have, first of all, we're going to have items flow out. They need to get compacted into coal. So charcoal, and let's say 2 spaces. So we'll have coal compacting here, and then we'll have 2 spaces again. Then we'll have charcoal to coal, coal to coal blocks, and then from coal blocks to diamonds. And that should work, because that's basically all. But what I'm thinking is we should maybe extend that as well. This is 3. So we've got 3 over there. So maybe if we do this and this, okay, I'm just putting stairs down all over. Right, there we go. And we can just extend this maybe. And the reason I'll take out all of that just now. The reason why I want to extend it like that is then we can actually move this over, and we can rip out these. So we have them standing over here. But then space might be a problem, because we need this to be 1 block higher unless we put the belts in over here. But again, if we do that, we won't be able to see them from there. So we might be able to rip that line out. So we'll actually put the belts on this level right here, and that should be fine above the door. We can just do something to finish them off on the side. Maybe do some blocks or something. This catwalks might be in the way, but okay, we'll figure that out. And then these can stay at that level. So we'll have, again, belts in here, feeding into those, and exactly the same over here. Okay, this can work. This part's going to be a little bit more tricky, but I think we can just do funnels, and then we can put something in the wall, because we have thickness over here as well, which should be fine. Okay, let's quickly get the basics in regards to belts and presses, and then we can just look at what we have and where we have to go next. Okay, we've got belts in, we've got presses in, and already I like where this is going. So just to recap, so from here we will be taking out of an item, we will be putting in, we'll be producing, and it will go out, in, and then right over here we're going to have another one that does out again, and this point we're going to have one like this, and this one will go in again. That should work. We might just have to look at that, just tweak it, make sure. Otherwise, worst case, we can just modify this to accommodate belts. I I'm sure we can make it work. I'm not too worried about that right this minute. And do I have a block that fits this? I think that's that. So that is the basic idea of it all. I guess we can just have it fall into chutes as well. But that's it for this part, and it should be relatively easy. For this part over here, we're going to need a few different items, and the first thing will be fans. So the fan needs to blow out of this area over here, so I'll maybe move it up one so we can power it from this point over here. We'll have lava in this block, and then we'll have the items drop over here. So we'll have some form of contraption dropping items, and we'll drop only, I think, 16 at a time. That's more than sufficient. And then what will happen is these will be smart chutes, so we will be able to turn them off. But this can run at a speed of 16 RPM or 16 trace units. And as that blows, at a certain point, it will get converted. And I think it's a total of 5 blocks. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And right over here, we will pick them up. And this is where we get our charcoal. And then this, like mentioned, will just then feed into the system. I'm not too worried about adding more fans and things because this turns into charcoal quite fast, and we've got a lot of wood, so I'm, like, again, not too phased. So I do think that is the basic setup for, like, making charcoal and turning charcoal into diamonds, which now leaves a ton of space down here that we can maybe use to add some crushing wheels that will turn some of the extra charcoal, or even mills, turn some of the extra charcoal into black dye, and then also some form of crafting system, because if we quickly look at this, we can turn this into black dye using a millstone. But the recipe for gray dye would be, okay, well, we know that we will get it as a side product, so we'll actually have to mix it with white dye in a basin to get gray dye. So yeah, maybe I can plan this real quick as well. So let me grab a few more resources and we see what we can do. Okay, so the byproducts, which will be the dyes. So first of all, I thought about it, and we're gonna have to add an additional station that turns all the bones from the mob farm down there into white dye. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to represent that with these millstones for now. We might have 4 millstones over here, taking items from above and then putting them down into the drawer containers at the bottom, which will then feed into our dye storage next door, which will mainly be black and white dye. And then from there, we will feed into a different system that I have to figure out, because we're going to have to put 2 items into each of these basins, namely black dye and white dye. So what I'm thinking is we can maybe do it, because we don't need a lot of it. So maybe we should do something like this, where we have 1 item running on this belt over here that will get picked up by our 2 basins. Maybe. Yeah, that's my backpack. That could maybe work. Let me just grab this again. So basically we'll have an item running across the back wall, and that will get picked up by the 2 basins. So let's say that's black dye, and then we can have a second item running on a belt in front of these 2. That could be the white dye that gets picked up on the front part, and then both of these basins can drop their item even into a central gathering point. I mean, it can be something like, we won't be able to do 2 funnels. Maybe something like this. Yeah. Then we can have 2 funnels dropping into controllers, sending the gray dye to the room next door. I think this is everything. I think we've got everything planned, and it should be smooth sailing from here, and nothing like last week's episode where I had to struggle with figuring out draw controllers, and it was something simple like things not lining up. So yeah, okay. So let's quickly get some of the redstone bits in place and get this thing sort of functioning. Okay, and we've got it. We've got all our little create contraptions in, and I even chucked in a bunch of trims all over the place. So if I did everything correctly, all of the storage drawers in this little building, well, it's connected. It's connected, and we only need to place one trim right over here to connect it to the system that will take dyes out of that system into the system. But oh, that's a lot of the word system. But anyway, and then another thing we did was we added another lava tank over there, and on the other side, because I kind of forgot we need lava in those. So these are still empty, but we will tap into the lava that we have. Let's just jump into free cam right over here in this building, because we had to bring lava over for blaze cakes. So we will tap into that, run that underneath in this channel, and we'll just take it all the way up through. I think it's going to actually go through there and into two tanks. That one right over here and this one right over here, and that will feed into that tank over there. No, not the tank, into the basins. However, I still need to hook those pumps up with power. And I can't really remove this because that's a trim, unless I move the trims over so they run over here. Okay, cool. Let's quickly fix this. Okay, so that's fixed. So we've got pumps powered on top of that, and this should be all the power systems as well. So I think the first thing we need to do is maybe tap into power, and we're going to do it right over there. So if we grab ourselves some shafts, I think let's just start with those just to see what happens. And we bring it down over here. We can then maybe tap into this power over there. So we'll do this. We'll have two gearboxes over here. So let's just quickly grab ourselves two. Let's grab three, because if we do maybe have to change one of them then, or add an additional one, it's already in our inventory. One over there, and then we do one vertical there. And now let's see what runs. Okay, before we change that, that's going the wrong way, but let's just quickly see. Are these going the right or the wrong way? No, it's going the wrong way. So we need to add an additional gearbox, maybe just right over here. I guess we'll be fine. Let's just turn that into another one of those. I guess we could have used chain drives, but we didn't. Anyway, so now those pumps are turning. These belts should be going the right way. Yeah, they do. And that one on that side, yes, it does. Okay, so we've got those sorted. We still need this fan to go into the right direction, so we can just do this. That changes that around. And then I noticed we don't have power on these two and this item, so that I'll maybe just tap into maybe there's just this power at the back here. Just run it through the back and then just add it up to the back part over here. Let's just do that. We'll just have to be careful because there's a trim over there, so we'll have to go through this hole, and there's actually a trim up there, so we can go through. That's also a frame trim. Okay, but it's fine. We can come through. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to dig out this hole, connect those two up, make sure they get power, and then I'm quickly going to see if we can get the lava over here, which will sort out that problem as well. And then we've got mainly everything ready, so we can just tap into this storage system over here to get that connected before we connect it to the bigger storage system. So yeah, a lot of digging for me to do and pipe laying. See you guys just now. It took a whole lot of digging and a whole lot of pump placing and pipe placing, but we've got lava. We've got lava over here, and we have a second container on this side. And if we run up here and around this corner real quick, you'll see that it also feeds into these two tanks, or in these two basins. So we're technically ready to get all of this sorted. I also went ahead and gone and ran a trim, where's it out, right over here, all the way to that side of the street, running back to that storage over there. So, oops, I don't think this needs to be a trim, but we've got a trim now. And connected it to this drawer controller as well. And then this is our little charcoal block. box storage. So what we can technically do is, can we rip out these two? Let's rip them out so we can move through there. So we can add this onto this system, and you can see we're picking up everything that we have in the storage system. So all we need to basically do is, if we connect this block there, some of these should start to run. Yeah, see, we've got 16 white dye in there, which is coming from the flower farm over there. And if we then go ahead and add 2 more trims, these are all trims here. If we add 1 there and 1 there and 1 over here, sorry, I'm just trying to texturize them a bit. You'll notice the charcoal went, and all of this is now connected. There, oops, fell down. There we have logs falling down onto the system. They will get converted into charcoal. We can see that happening as well. I do think it's a mistake because this needs to be 16. So that's going to take a while to convert. But let's just chuck all of this in there. And that should convert now. Yeah, they're turning into charcoal. So then charcoal will make its way into the system. Whoop. Oh, we fell down again. But we can see that we have charcoal being turned into coal. Coal being turned into coal blocks. And coal blocks getting turned into diamonds. And we had about 73 diamonds in the system. So if we just quickly go down here. Well, I think a little bit more. Yeah, 78. So if we take those out, we can actually put them in there. And that should now fill up. I did, however, notice that no logs are making it out of the system. Which is a little bit weird. Or a little bit strange. I think because we're waiting for those to get harvested. So what we can do is instead maybe add a filter to that. Can we do that? I don't think I have any filters on me. Yeah, no. And we don't have any wool in there. Do we have any wool in here? No, we don't. Do we have any wool in here? No, but we've got string. Okay, cool. That's going to work. So if we do all string, that will give us that. If we do 2 of those, will give us this. And can we quickly add a filter? Let me quickly go grab those 2 blocks. And I think we're just going to stick to dark oak and dark oak and spruce. We can add those 2 to the filter. We're going to say allow list. There we go. And let's just put that into this little... No, up, yeah. I think we're going to rip out this and this. And we're going to have to be quick about this because we need to do this and add that and say 16. Will it work? Oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Do I have water? Oh, please don't die. Oh, okay. Whew. The reason why that didn't work is we're going to have to rip out this block. And let's quickly grab a new... Where's my blue backpack? Right over here. Let's grab one of these. And then if we go to this, we do have some extra trims over here. We can use that trim. We're going to do trim. We're going to do shoot. Add our filter. No. We're going to do this. And we're going to say 16. Okay, we're just going to place those in this drawer. Logs and planks. And that should work. I do, however, think we just need to kind of quickly make a lever for it, because we need to make a system that says, hey, you're full. Stop getting out. Well, let's just do it this way. So we're going to grab ourselves 2 redstone links. We're going to do a little threshold switch. And then the threshold switch we'll just put on top of this. Can we have this facing downwards? We can. We tell it as soon as it's 85% full, it needs to stop. We can add a little redstone link on it, and we're just going to call this one maybe double charcoal. Add this on here, give it a signal, double charcoal. Sorted. So this will now run until it gets powered, and once it's powered it will stop, and we will fill this up. See there, it just powers on now, which means we're going to have the stop. We're going to get all the charcoal we need into the system. That's perfect. That's running at the right speed. Okay, I just thought for a minute that's not working. So all of this is working. And we should actually get items now. We got black dye over there. We've got some... Oh, we'll see gray dye down there. Oh. We're not extracting out of the system. Okay, so we need to fix that as well. But as soon as we add black dye to here, we should see some go in and some get taken out. Which means this system is taking the dye and making gray dye. So now we technically have gray dye as well. So we can put that in there. And now we can start producing gray dye as well. Perfect. Let's just fill all of those. And let's take all of my extras out of there that I didn't use yet or didn't put in the system. That's perfect. So technically everything's working. The only thing I need to fix is just the method of taking out the gray dye out of the system, and then it's all done skis, I think. Can we do 2 sanded deep slate? Let's do that. And that's it. That's it for the system. So I'm going to quickly sort out that little chute there to take out the gray dye and all the other products. And then while we do that, I'll let you guys go check on the citizen counter. We're currently standing on 10,774 citizens in the city. If you want to add to the population counter, then smash that subscribe button and help us reach our next big goal. So there we have it, 311 diamonds and counting. That's quite a good success, and I would say that the diamond farm will slowly build up the supplies we need. And that's perfect. I don't know, we're not going to use diamonds for anything else except for the population counter, and maybe if we do something elaborate in the corporate building we want to do on this mountain behind this building. And apart from that, everything seems to be running smoothly. We've already filled up on charcoal because I can see that system is locked. I might actually put an upgrade in this to make sure we've got extra, so if we do need to use charcoal for anything else, we do have. But then apart from that, on the side, we've also managed to start to stock up on some of these products over here, the black dye and the gray dye. So I would call that a great success, which is just in time because I am kind of out of time and we need to say goodbye. So let me know down in the comments, do you like the little diamond factory? And also, if you haven't done so yet, smash that like button and do subscribe if you haven't done so yet, as it really helps me out a ton. And then I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye for now.